met someone, and something felt electric. They seemed perfect. The conversations were deep, the connection felt real, but then it fell apart again. And you are left wondering, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always end up with the wrong person? Why do my relationships always feel so painful, so confusing, so exhausting? Here's the truth, and this might surprise you. It is probably not your fault, and it is probably not bad luck either. There is a pattern deep inside you that has been quietly guiding every romantic decision you have ever made. It was formed when you were very young, and most people never become aware of it. Today, we are going to change that. Welcome back to the channel. I am so glad you are here. Today, we are talking about one of the most important discoveries in all of modern psychology, attachment theory, and why it explains almost everything about your love life. By the end of this video, you are going to understand yourself in a completely new way. You are going to understand why you feel what you feel in relationships, why you chase certain people, why you pull away from others, and why some connections feel safe while others feel like a roller coaster. And most importantly, you are going to learn what you can actually do about it. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let us begin. Let me take you back to 1950s England. There was a psychiatrist named John Bowlby. He was working with children who had been separated from their parents, children who had experienced loss very early in life. Bowlby noticed something fascinating. These children did not just feel sad. Their entire sense of themselves, their ability to trust, to feel safe, to connect, had been shaped by their earliest experiences with caregivers. He called this attachment theory, and his central idea was this: as babies, we are completely helpless. We need our caregivers, our parents, our guardians, not just for food and shelter, but for emotional safety. When a baby cries, something important happens. If the caregiver responds, if they pick up the baby, hold them, soothe them, the baby learns something very fundamental. The world is safe. People can be trusted. When I need help, help will come. But if the caregiver is inconsistent, sometimes responsive, sometimes not, or if they are cold, absent, or overwhelming, the baby learns something different. I am not sure if I am safe. I am not sure if people will be there for me. I need to be careful. Now here is the part that will change how you see everything. These early patterns do not stay in childhood. They travel with us into adulthood, into every friendship, into every romantic relationship, into the way we love. A few years after Bowlby, a researcher named Mary Ainsworth ran a now famous experiment called the strange situation. She watched how babies responded when their mothers left the room and came back. And she discovered three very different patterns of behavior, three distinct ways that children had learned to manage their need for connection. These three patterns became the foundation of what we now call the three main attachment styles: secure attachment, anxious attachment, and avoidant attachment. Later, researchers added a fourth, disorganized attachment, which we will also touch on. But here is what matters most. These attachment styles do not just describe how babies behave. They describe how you behave in love, right now. As an adult, let me explain each one. The first attachment style is called anxious attachment. And if this is your style, I want you to know something before I go further. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not crazy. You simply learn to love in a particular way. And that way made perfect sense given what you experienced. How it forms anxious attachment usually develops when a caregiver was inconsistent, not always absent, sometimes very present, but the availability was unpredictable. Some days the parent was warm and loving. Other days they were distracted, stressed, or emotionally unavailable. The child in that environment learns something very painful. I cannot predict whether my needs will be met. I have to stay alert. I have to monitor the relationship constantly, because if I miss a signal, I might lose the connection, and losing the connection is terrifying. How it shows up in relationships. As an adult, this pattern can look like thinking about your partner a lot. even when you are at work, with friends, or trying to sleep. Feeling intense anxiety if they do not reply to a message quickly. Needing constant reassurance. Do you still love me? Are we okay? Interpreting small things as signs of rejection. A short reply, a change in plans, a different tone of voice. Feeling very afraid of being abandoned, even when there is no real reason to fear it. Sometimes pushing partners away by being too intense, and then feeling terrible about it. Here is something that many people with anxious attachment do not realize. They often choose partners who are not fully available. They are attracted to people who keep them guessing, because on some level, that familiarity, that uncertainty, feels like love. This is one of the main reasons anxiously attached people always pick the wrong person. Not because they are making bad choices, but because unavailability feels like home, the inner experience. Inside, the anxiously attached person is in a near constant state of monitoring. They are watching for signs. They are reading faces. They are checking their phone. They are having mental conversations about what their partner's silence might mean. This is exhausting. And it is not a character flaw. It is an old survival strategy. One that made perfect sense once, but that no longer serves you. Think of it like an alarm system that was installed in a dangerous neighborhood. It made sense there. But you have moved to a safe place, and the alarm keeps going off anyway. If this is you, I want you to write something down, or just say it quietly to yourself. My need for connection is not wrong. I just need to learn to express it differently. We will talk about how to do that. But first, let us look at the second attachment style. The second attachment style is avoidant attachment. And I want to say something important right at the start. If you recognize yourself here, please stay. Do not click away. This section is for you, and it might be one of the most important things you ever hear. How it forms avoidant attachment usually develops when a caregiver was consistently emotionally unavailable. Not necessarily cruel or abusive, sometimes just closed, stoic, not comfortable with emotions, or simply too stressed, too busy, too detached to offer warmth. The child in that situation learns something very early. When I show that I need something, nothing happens. Or worse, I get pushed away. So the safest thing to do is to not need anything. The safest thing is to be self-sufficient. And so the child learns to suppress their emotional needs, to not cry, to handle things alone, to become very independent. On the outside, this looks like strength. On the inside, there is often a deep, quiet ache. How it shows up in relationships. As an adult, avoidant attachment can look like feeling very comfortable when you are alone, but uncomfortable when someone gets too close. Pulling away when a relationship starts to get serious or emotionally intense. Feeling a sense of panic or suffocation when a partner wants more closeness. Preferring to keep things light. Enjoying the early stages of dating, but becoming distant when things deepen. Finding it difficult to say, "I love you," or to ask for help. Feeling a vague emptiness or restlessness, and not quite knowing why. Here is something avoidantly attached that people often do not realize. They sometimes choose partners who are very eager and emotionally available, and then feel overwhelmed and pull away. Or they choose partners who are also avoidant, and the relationship remains shallow and emotionally distant. They rarely feel the right level of closeness. Either people feel too far away or much too close. The inner experience. Inside the avoidant person, there is often a strange experience when someone comes too close. Their nervous system starts to feel uncomfortable. They do not consciously think, "I want to run away." It is more like a feeling of pressure, of being overwhelmed, of suddenly finding their partner's flaws more noticeable, of wanting space. This is not selfishness. This is a nervous system that learned, a long time ago, that closeness was dangerous, that needing people leads to disappointment. And the cruel irony is this: most avoidantly attached people deeply want connection. They want love. They want to feel close to someone, but every time they get close to it, their old wiring sends an alarm and they pull back. There is a name for what happens when an anxious person and an avoidant person end up in a relationship together. It is called the anxious avoidant trap, and it is one of the most painful and most common relationship dynamics in the world. The anxious avoidant trap. The anxious partner gets closer. The avoidant partner pulls away. The anxious partner gets more anxious and chases harder. The avoidant partner feels more pressure and pulls away further. Both people are suffering. Both people want love, but their attachment systems are working against each other. If you have ever been in a relationship like this, where you felt like you were chasing someone who would never quite let you in, or where you felt like someone kept demanding more than you could give, you were experiencing the anxious avoidant trap. It is not about compatibility of hobbies or values. It is two attachment systems doing exactly what they were trained to do, creating pain for both people. Now, let us talk about the third attachment style, the one that most of us are reaching toward, even if we have never heard the word before. Secure attachment. Approximately 50 to 55% of the adult population has a secure attachment style. These are people whose early caregivers were not perfect, nobody is perfect, but reliably responsive, warm enough, present enough. When the child needed comfort, they usually got it. When they were scared, they were held. When they were hurt, they were seen. Not always, but enough. How it shows up in relationships. As an adult, secure attachment looks like feeling generally comfortable with closeness and intimacy. Being able to communicate needs openly without excessive fear of rejection. Trusting a partner without constantly needing reassurance. Being able to tolerate temporary distance or conflict without becoming very anxious or shutting down. Feeling good both when together with a partner and when spending time alone. Being able to offer support without losing yourself and receive support without feeling weak. If that sounds like a description of someone you would want to be with, I understand. Securely attached people make wonderful partners. They are consistent. They are emotionally available. They are not perfect, but they are present. And here is what I want you to hold on to. Secure attachment is not just something you are born with. It can be developed. It can be earned at any age. Researchers call this earned security, and it is one of the most hopeful findings in all of psychology. It means that even if your early experiences shaped an anxious or avoidant pattern, you can change, not overnight, but with awareness, with the right relationship, and sometimes with professional support, your attachment system can shift. There is a fourth attachment style I want to mention briefly, called disorganized attachment. It was identified later in research, and it is less common, but important to understand. Disorganized attachment usually develops in the context of significant trauma, where the caregiver was also a source of fear. This creates an impossible situation for the child. The person they need for safety is also the person who scares them. There is no good solution, no consistent strategy, hence disorganization. As an adult, this can create very intense and confusing relationship patterns. A deep hunger for love alongside an intense fear of being hurt. Pushing people away while desperately wanting them close. If this resonates with you, if your relationships feel chaotic, intense, and painful in ways that are hard to explain, please know, this is not who you are. This is a pattern that developed to protect you. And with the right support, ideally with a trained trauma therapist, it can change. You are not broken. You are someone who survived something hard, and you deserve care. So let us come back to the question in the title. Why do we always pick the wrong person? Here is the answer, and I want you to really hear this. We do not pick wrong people because we are unlucky. We pick them because they feel familiar. And what feels familiar is what our nervous system learned to call love. If you grew up with a caregiver who was inconsistent, someone who sometimes loved you deeply and sometimes was not there, then inconsistency does not feel wrong in a partner. It feels normal. It even feels exciting. If you grew up learning that love means working hard to earn someone's attention, then a partner who is a little distant, a little hard to reach, might feel thrilling, like a puzzle you need to solve. If you grew up learning that closeness is overwhelming, then a partner who does not push for too much emotional intimacy might feel safe, even if the relationship is cold and disconnected. We are not choosing badly. We are choosing what feels like home, even when home was painful. And there is something else. Research shows that when anxiously attached people meet a securely attached person, someone who is genuinely warm, consistent, available, they sometimes feel bored, uncomfortable, like something is missing, because consistency does not give the anxious system what it has been trained to need: the rush of uncertainty, the relief of reassurance after anxiety. Safe people can feel unsatisfying at first, not because they are wrong, but because they are unfamiliar. This is the pattern. Now that you can see it, you can begin to change it. So what do you actually do with all of this? Step one is what you are doing right now: becoming aware. You cannot change a pattern you cannot see. Just recognizing your attachment style is already a powerful step. Step two is noticing your triggers. When you feel anxious or when you want to pull away, pause, ask yourself, what is actually happening here? Is this the present moment, or is this an old pattern? Step three is moving toward the unfamiliar. If you are anxiously attached, notice when you feel restless around a consistent, available person. Instead of dismissing them, stay a little longer. Let safety feel safe. If you are avoidantly attached, notice when you feel the urge to pull away. Instead of running, try saying one true thing, one small vulnerability. You do not have to transform overnight, just one small step toward the person. Step four, and this is important, consider working with a therapist, particularly a therapist trained in attachment-based therapy or internal family systems, or EMDR. These approaches work directly with the patterns we have been talking about today. And step five, choose people consciously, not just based on chemistry, not just based on familiarity. Ask yourself, is this person consistent? Are they emotionally available? Do I feel safe with them? If the answer is yes, even if it does not feel electric at first, stay curious. Safety can become beautiful. I want to end this video with something that I mean very deeply. The way you love is not a flaw. It is a story that began long before you were old enough to choose. And like all stories, it can evolve, it can grow, it can find a different ending. Attachment styles are not life sentences. They are starting points. And the fact that you are here, asking these questions, trying to understand yourself more deeply, that is already healing. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. The work of changing how you love is some of the most important work a person can do. If this video helped you, please share it with someone you care about, because this information changes lives, and the person you share it with might be waiting for exactly this. Leave a comment below. Which attachment style do you most identify with? I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. Subscribe if you are new. We explore psychology, relationships, and mental wellness every week in a way that is real, grounded, and made for real people. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.